No one's home? Okay, see you later. I work as a driver instructor and our business is booked out for months. So many hours in the day with so many kids needing to learn how to drive, so the company, as an incentive for students to keep their appointments, slapped a $25 extra fee if you don't give prior notice of 48 hours. You don't get to keep the time, you don't get the completion certificate until it's paid, and of course, we do have some leeway for people that are sick. Well, I showed up at the student's house and he had one of the smart doorbells. I rang it and he came to the door. I asked for his paperwork and a permit to drive and he was like, "All right, I'll be right back." This is where it gets interesting, because the way the system works is that one student drives their allotted time and we pick up the next, and this student drives the other student home. I have a student sitting in the back seat waiting for him to come back out so we can get her home. 10 minutes go by, and let me tell you, parents can be pretty upset when you don't know where their kid is. I ring the smart bell again and a voice comes over it. "Can I help you?" "Yeah, I'm here for X. They went inside and hasn't come back yet." The doorbell said, "No one's home." Now I know it's no use arguing with the doorbell and I have another student who needs to get home. "Oh, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to reschedule then. Please contact the office and set up a time. I'll leave our card." Our card, in big bold letters, states, "Sorry we missed you. Fee of $25 now applies per contract." I marked it down on the paper as a no-show and left with the kid watching through the window. Luckily, when I got the other student home, I was able to apologize for having him back late. Basically, the kid didn't want to go to his lessons, said okay, and now he owes $25 more and can't get his license until he pays it off. Well, on the bright side, he got out of his appointment. On the downside, he's gonna really regret that he literally can't get his license until this is paid off. I don't understand why you would answer the door. Like, if you really didn't want to go, why answer? Now they know you're home. Why would you go with "not home" as the excuse? What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Today we're gonna be taking a look at more stories from the r/malicious compliance subreddit, so without further ado, let's get into it. How much water do you want exactly? I deliver bulk water to people who don't have access to city water or their own private well. For nearly all customers, it's a simple process. Either they call for deliveries, or they have agreed to automatic deliveries. When I show up, I hook the truck up to the fill pipe and start pumping, and either listen to the vent or hook up an installed alarm in order to know when the holding tank is full. This particular customer had their holding tank installed in a small utility room next to their living room and didn't install a vent to the outside, and refused to let us install an alarm because they didn't want us to put a 1/4-inch hole in the wall to run the alarm wire. The solution: they call us when they need 2,000 gallons of water, and we show up and pump exactly 2,000 gallons of water. This procedure worked without flaw for over a decade. Literally hundreds of deliveries with no issue. Cue owner deciding to sell. We're contacted by the new owners, set them up an account, and head over for our first delivery and meeting. We especially go over the issue with us being totally unable to tell them when the tank is full, and we offered to install the alarm again for free, but they decline. So we let them know when they call for water, they must be sure they have enough room in the tank for 2,000 gallons, or let us know how much room they have water for, or how much water they have room for. We went over this several times and they laughed at us, saying they understood and would be calling when they were below the 2,000 gallon mark. 2 weeks go by and we receive a message on our answering machine from the new customer. No gallon amount is specified, and it sets off a warning bell because it was a household of 2. It's only been 2 weeks since we filled them last, and it's highly abnormal to go through 1,000 gallons a week. We expected 5 weeks, so we call back to double check and no answer, so we left a message asking for confirmation. A couple hours later we tried again, but by the next day we had left 4 messages asking to confirm they're ready for a full load. No reply. Well, they did call, so the boss sent me out and I knocked on the door as a last attempt for no answer. So I hooked up and started the pump and set the timer so I don't overpump while reading my book. 15 minutes later, I hopped out to check the water, and it's 1,700 gallons. I watch for the next couple minutes and shut it down, and that's when I hear the front door burst open, and the woman who bought the house had called in yesterday is screaming to shut it down. "There's water everywhere. What are we doing?" The woman had been ignoring our calls and even ignored me at the door, but now she's screaming. Apparently, she had called when the tank was half full instead of down below the mark showing where the 2,000 gallons is, and just disregarded our messages and didn't feel like talking to me when I knocked. So now she has 700 gallons of water in her living room. Boss was called out so she could scream at him. Husband came home so he could scream at us, for reasons I guess. They made a lot of demands about how we're going to pay it. Nope, boss laid down how we saw the situation. You can keep the water free of charge and just don't call us anymore. Y'all are too stupid to work with. Never heard from them again. LOL, broken heart. It's even funnier because both of them had done the whole, we're not stupid, we understand how 2,000 gallons work type of thing. Why would you not just answer and specify, nah, it's not totally empty, by the way? Did you really need water that bad? On the bright side, you can enjoy your new swimming pool in your living room. Don't bother you with admin work? Okay. Not something I did, but something I saw firsthand over 2 days. Years ago, I worked as a registered nurse on a high dependency ward, whereas on a normal surgical ward for a morning shift, you would get 6 to 8 patients. On our ward, you got a maximum of 3. Think involved patients with multiple conditions. It was not unusual, for example, to have a physiotherapist, 2 nurses, and a ward person or 2 to help walk a patient to the bathroom in the morning for the shower. Not because they were heavy, but because of all the pumps and drains that they had coming along for the ride and for their safety. We had a pretty high turnover of staff, about 50% a year, with the average time someone staying with us being 12 months. Some left after a year because they could get easier and better paying jobs, some left because of the workload, and I left because I moved 200 miles away. But 2 people were a constant in our ward. One was our ward person, and the other was our ward clerk, Sue. I'll use her real name as I'm pretty sure that was her real name, and it's been more than 20 years and it's a common name. Sue had been there for years and she was really good at her job and knew how the place ticked. One morning shift, Sue got absolutely upbraided by one of the new RNs in our ward. I can't remember her name, but it doesn't matter. Let's call her Myopia. Whatever it was about, it wasn't actually important, and I was there. It was well past my 12 months, so I was an oldie. The organizational culture on that ward was that we were a team. Remember the story about taking patients to the shower often or needing 4 people to help? It's not unusual to come back after one of those to find that for your other patients, other nurses had done dressings for you, made a bed or 2, showered another patient, gave out meds, whatever. You didn't really have to ask, it just kind of happened. You did the same for the next person when they were tied up, and that's just how it was. Best ward ever. The team approach extended to the wardies and the admin team. They did their work so you could concentrate on yours, and if you looked after them, they looked after you. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the admin officer on a ward can wield power. You might not think it, but they can. Anyways, Sue got roasted over something that didn't matter, and the RN finished off with the words along the effect of, you just concentrate on doing your job, and I'll do my job as a nurse. Mistake. Such a big mistake. Those of us who had been there for a while that day took mental note that Sue was not gonna let it slide. The next day, we had almost the same team on deck. Normal weekday morning, busy ward in the middle of showers, dressing meds, mobilizing, attending activities of daily living, OBS, making beds, tests, ward rounds, literally everything. A theater orderly showed up for one of RN Myopia's patients to take them to theater. They aren't ready. The one person who could answer the phone didn't pass the message that theater was coming down for that patient for surgery. We watched with amusement and side eyes as Myopia dropped everything to try and prep the patient while orderly waited. Quick shower with chlorhexidine soap, run through the pre-OP checklist, the whole shebang. We made sure the other patients were looked after, but there wasn't any way we were going to get involved between her and Sue. Just as 15 minutes of work or so was done in 5 minutes, Sue came around the corner before the wardie headed off with the patient and squared off with Myopia and says, "Oh, Myopia, theater called for your patients. I was going to come tell you and let you know earlier, but I got caught up with my admin work. I see they're here, so I'll leave it to ya." Didn't wait for an answer or reply, just spun on her heels and went back to the desk and phone around the corner. It was beautiful. Myopia didn't last much longer, but Sue did until that ward was closed a few years later, and I still miss the ward and the people after 24 years. I don't know why you would ever complain about somebody taking time out of their work to help you with yours, but obviously that was going to turn around and bite you in the butt, especially when you were like, oh, focus on your work and don't worry about me. Guaranteed that they were like, oh, just wait until this glorious moment when I'm going to make her realize how big of a mistake that was. How to kill boredom in the workplace. During my time in the Navy, I absolutely hated getting posted ashore. The shore posting I got sent to was a workshop on a base that had too many people and not enough work. On my second posting, they had got rid of most of the useless people, but there was still too many people and not enough work. I got assigned to one of the subsections where, for the most part, we got left alone as long as the work got done, so that was cool. About 2 months in, after our lunch muster, the only way they could keep track of us all was to have us muster several times a day to micromanage. A petty officer that we're gonna call T says that too many people are going to lunch early or coming back late, and that you're going to go on break on the times listed and follow them to the letter. 2 days later, 1,000 comes around. Time for stand easy. The guys I work with usually just had our short break in the workshop as we got left alone there. At 1002, a new seaman to the unit comes up and says, "The petty officer wants to see you." I gave him a thumbs up as I had a mouthful of biscuits and watched him walk away. Then I reached for my next biscuit and my teammates asked if I was going to see him, and my reply was, "After Stand Easy." At 10:19, Stand Easy ended at 10:20, I walked into the office and the first thing I heard was, "Where have you been? I sent someone to get you 20 minutes ago." My reply was, "But you said on Monday we had to adhere to our break times." Everyone else in the office had that. Oh, he didn't look. And I could almost see the smoke coming out of the petty officer's ears until we heard the chief laugh from within his office. Fast forward a few months, I had been moved to another subsection there, and again, 90% left alone and self-managed. The manager of the collection of workshops we belonged to, which was the lieutenant commander of engineering, rotated out. The new boss was doing a quiet walk around to get the feel of the place, and he saw a number of guys sitting around on their phones. Next morning, new directive from upstairs. Anyone on their phone during work hours will be disciplined. When the boss walked around next week and looking into my space, the three of us were sitting there reading books. Our chief comes down 10 minutes later. "The boss wants you to be doing work and not reading books." The next time he came through, we were in the same position, this time reading service manuals. And when he asked, "Why aren't you working?" my reply was simple. "We've done everything there is to do today, sir. Now we're using the rest of the day to build our knowledge to do the job better." A.B. Smith here is refreshing his knowledge of refueling at sea. A.B. Martin is learning about the new paint scheme we're starting to use. And I'm looking through the pay and conditions manual to find out if the workshop out back that I use to work in gets hot enough to qualify for heat allowance to be paid. Needless to say, the boss stormed off muttering. The next day, the chief informed us that as long as we had our work done and being quiet and discreet, we could do what we wanted. Gods, it was good to get back to sea and do some meaningful work. Honestly, the fact that you were able to get away with doing exactly what they were ordering you to do so that way you didn't get in a butt ton of trouble is impressive. Usually in the military, they've got a pretty good way of getting you to do what they want. Not that I was in it, a lot of my family was, so this just sounds like some next level trolling. And hey, you guys got to do what you want. If all your work's done and you're being discreet, it really shouldn't matter. MC at the convenience store? Don't throw away anything? Okay, you got it. This happened when I worked at a convenience store many, many moons ago. The original owner, the woman who hired me, basically left the shift managers to run the shift. If there were out-of-date products, the shift managers were allowed to throw it away without permission from the GM or the owner because they trusted the shift manager's judgment. About 6 years into my employment there, the original owners sold the business. The new owners kept on all the staff, but we were basically told that the owners were in charge and the employees were to do nothing without permission. Even the shift managers were not allowed to throw away anything without permission because the new owners were notorious for recycling old outdated food. It was disgusting. If there were outdated sandwiches, they made the employee take the deli meat off the stale soggy roll and put it on a fresh roll with lettuce, tomato, and put it back out. The same with outdated canned foods and such, and they would make the employees cook outdated canned food for the hot food bar. It didn't take too long for them to decide I was throwing away too many products, basically because I was refusing to recycle sandwiches, and I was told I was not to throw anything away without consulting one of the owners first. Enter MC. I got a box and put everything in it that I was going to throw away for an entire shift. I swept the floor, dumped the floor sweepings into the box, customers didn't want their receipt, in the box, bank wrappers from $1 bills, in the box, remnants from my dinner, in the box. Every last paper towel I used to wipe down the counter, if it was a piece of chewing gum, you guessed it, everything in the box. I marked the box, do not throw stuff away before owner looks at it. After the first night of doing it, I was told not to do it again, and I kept right on doing it. And after about a week, the owner threw away my box, gave me a list of things I wasn't allowed to throw away, and told me to stop being a smart aleck if I wanted to keep my job. I didn't work for them for long because they were selling illegal products that could have resulted in the staff getting arrested. Before I quit, I did get the chance to tell the owner she needed to stop being an expletive towards everyone, and she and her husband needed to quit being shady. MC stands for malicious compliance, by the way, but yeah, dude, I feel like that's the least you could do. I would have quit instantly when they started telling me to take rotten deli meat and just remake a sandwich. What's wrong with you guys, bro? Not you, I meant the owners. You're literally gonna get somebody deathly ill and get a fat lawsuit, and it's just not very nice to sell rotten food to people. The stamp of approval. I'm a home health nurse in rural Pennsylvania, and one of my patients lives in a little village type area on the edge of a bigger town. There is no parking for his apartment below a shop, and there's no street parking, but there is a little village post office right across the road, so I've been parking there. The post office parking lot can probably hold 20 cars, and although there never seems to be a max of 2 people there at the time. Last week, my nurse practitioner and I were leaving this guy's house, and a postal worker popped her head out the door and asked if they were there to buy stamps. We said no, and she said we can't park there if we're not buying stamps. Cue malicious compliance. I went to the person's house today, went in the post office, and bought a single 58-cent stamp. Then I went across and saw my patient, and I'm pretty sure the same clerk from last week recognized me and said, "Just one stamp?" Yup. I mean, technically you're doing exactly what they asked. A single 58-cent stamp, and the post office is getting their bag, baby. Seriously, the United States Postal Office is always like a month away from going bankrupt. Maybe you should stop selling single stamps and sell them in bundles instead, alright? You got a fortnight battle pass it, but for mail. If you can't fix it. So this was a few years ago and happened to me. I kept having issues with my home internet every time it would rain, and every time I would call in and go through the script about rebooting the modem, etc. They would schedule someone to come out, and of course it would be sunny and clear when they came and never finding an issue. Finally, it happened again, and I called and told them to either fix it or turn it off. Came home the next day to no internet because they took me at my word and cut it off. Got them back out to hook it up, and finally it was raining and the tech was able to see where water was running into a coupler and causing issues. I told them if they couldn't fix it, turn it off, and they did. Honestly, this is the first time I've seen one from the other perspective, but you did tell them to turn it off, bro. How did they not realize that water was getting into the system, though? I feel like that should have been obvious. Anyways, guys, I think that's gonna do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, I would really appreciate you taking a second to press the like button, comment down below, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you really want to be awesome, you can use code Scrubby at the G Fuel checkout, or I do post these on Spotify without gameplay if you just want to listen to the audio, whatever. Link will be in the description. Feel free to go check it out. But yeah, on that note, guys, that'll do it with another malicious compliance video. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.